You need to trust me.
We have to trust each other.
Hello, you are watching Logitech G at E3 2018. I'm with Matt, who has been hands-on with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Just how murdery is Lara Croft in this seemingly final of the trilogy where she finally becomes the Tomb Raider? Where personally, I feel like she was the Tomb Raider in the first one when she got her pistols and kind of in the second one. So how is this journey for Lara?
It's quite murdery. So there were two parts to this. We had a gameplay demo which we watched, which was all about sort of a Mayan Aztec village that Lara finds herself in. We'll talk about that in a bit because we're going to talk about the murder first.
Yes, we are.
So the hands-on element was in the jungle, which you may have seen in some of the trailer stuff.
She puts her face, right? She gets all muddy.
So one of the new mechanics you can do is essentially to roll around in a filthy puddle. So it's kind of a dark, leafy area. In order to make yourself a little bit harder to see, kind of Arnie in Predator style, you can cover yourself in mud. So really, it does look like Lara has lost it. Yeah. And it kind of feels like that as well because it's pretty brutal. Yeah.
She's always been surprisingly brutal. I remember she went from the first one being like, oh no, I murdered a deer, I felt a bit bad, and the chap on the walkie-talkie was like, it's okay Lara, it's going to be fine. I don't think it's going to be fine anymore.
It didn't feel fine. No. And this isn't a criticism because it is really good fun to play and it has the same kind of feel as the Arkham games when you're sort of like, you're stalking your prey and they're getting more and more freaked out because every time they come around a corner they find one of them sort of punctured and full of stab wounds. Yep. Or in the case of one of the takedowns I did was to sort of essentially throw a noose around someone's neck and then kind of yank them up the tree using your own body weight and you smash into them for extra measure. Wow. And then strangle them a little bit more just to make certain that they're dead.
I mean, as action-adventure games go though, Lara's new adventures since I think it's 2013 reboot have been incredible. These have this cinematic nature. You know, we talked about how Lara was going to become sort of Uncharted when that came out. She's surpassed Uncharted now. She's in proper cinematic territory.
I don't think that's too bold a statement. I genuinely don't. Like the stuff that I played today looked and felt amazing. Like the way that she moves is really, really fluid, and she has like a sort of, like a weight to her that makes her feel like a real person. Even the mad stuff, like the hair, it's incredible. There's the one moment where her
she's doing this with her hair.
Yeah, her ponytail apparently came undone, so it was all just sort of. This was after I'd mudded myself up. So little touches like that just make it feel extra real. But Uncharted is a really good metric because the sort of finale to the jungle murder session is an incredible set piece where you're running through an oil refinery which is being blown to smithereens by the sort of the main villain, and it is that kind of. Slightly prescriptive, jumping through areas, like grabbing onto pipes and stuff. I actually found it really quite clever because some games when you play like that, you just press A all the time and you're like, okay, I'm through, it's fine, I haven't fallen. I truthfully messed it up 3 or 4 times and jumped in the wrong direction and Lara ended up like skewered on a pipe, which is kind of...
She always does. It's always
it's very unlucky.
Fall off something. Oh, there's something I can attach my axe to. Oh, there it is passing me as I fall down this waterfall.
She's like one of those bits of cheese on a cocktail stick. Like she's just been skewered.
The first one felt like the series of unfortunate events Tomb Raider edition. It was genuine. Oh, you think it can't get worse? Oh, now the plane's crashed.
Really has.
Oh, and now the plane's crashed, and now you've fallen down a pit. Oh, and you've fallen down a pit, and you're going to have to burn your way out of this cocoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's saying something when you start off hanging upside down in a burning
to grab
cocoon.
Fire.
But yeah, so this set piece was amazing, really similar to the train bit and Uncharted 2, but just sort of dynamic and striking and sort of fire and twisted metal and stuff. But it is at the same time challenging you to get through this bit while actually thinking about where you're going. And obviously, it's only going to be amazing the first 2 or 3 times you do it, but it is quite a spectacle, and I can't wait to play more of that. But I think the thing that I really liked about it actually, and this is the stuff that we saw in the demo. It's quite a dynamic game, so there are moments where it's drawing it all back, and she's in this sort of quite sort of sleepy village, and there's like a bit of kind of folklore wound into there, and she's sort of dressed in like kind of traditional South American clothing, and it's all a little bit lower key again, a little bit like the Tibetan bit in Uncharted 2, but it really works. You've got sort of different voices you can hear, and you can weirdly actually turn off the English translations if you want to immerse yourself fully in this slightly sort of unusual world. And I really like that because I think one of the things Tomb Raider does really well for an action game is coming in and out. So the moments where you're really pulled back and you're seeing all this mad action, and then at the same time, it's happy to bring you really close in and sort of see, like, I don't want to say Lara suffer, she does a bit, but like, you get to see her as a human being. So the best example of that, there was one of the, you know, the Tomb Raider thing of her edging through like a sort of a narrow gap, which is probably a loading screen, but they're quite sort of dynamic.
They do a very good job of those.
They do.
Well, I think I stopped at one. I think I was playing the first one, or maybe the second, and I was going through a gap, and I thought it was a cutscene, but so I stopped and went to drink tea or something, and it stopped. I was like, oh, this will just be...
You just left her wedged in a...
And you wonder why she's claustrophobic now as I sip my tea. You just stay there, Lara.
That's all your fault. So yeah, in this example, like, this was in one of the challenge tombs, which are now much bigger and much more dangerous, and they have traps and stuff.
There wasn't enough of those earlier on.
They've really upped that up. So there's one little bit where she cuts herself on a bit of obsidian, and you're watching and you're like, recoiling in horror. At the same time, you know, you've already seen her sort of stab 6 or 7 people, but you know, there's a connection there which is really effective. And finally, really, I think on the subject of challenge tombs, one of the extra things they've added, which doesn't sound like much but actually makes loads of difference, is the ability to rappel. So you'll be looking down into this great big pit and knowing you're going to have to get to the bottom and not really knowing how. And you know,
yeah, she's been able to climb a lot, but that's never been.
Yeah. So this is kind of, you know, she's as good as sort of like rappelling down things as she was at climbing, which gives it that real sort of old school adventure feel like you had in sort of, I guess, some of the rebooted Tomb Raider games from the first time around. Where you're
also descending into something that you don't know, the verticality of that, they're going to kill us with, literally, probably.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're absolutely going to kill us with that, because if you, I can just imagine all the ways they're going to, you know, you'll be, go down and something will eat you, a bear will do something, or not a bear in the jungle, but there will be something equally bad. I mean, I'd have problems with mosquitoes, let alone whatever Shadow of the Tomb Raider is going to put Lara through in the jungle.
From what I've played, I think mosquitoes are probably quite low on her danger list, but you know, maybe she really doesn't like mosquitoes.
Perhaps not, maybe she's allergic. So mosquitoes are definitely the least of Lara Croft's worries in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and we don't actually have that long until we find out we're getting to play Shadow of the Tomb Raider on September the 14th. So add that to the teetering pile of pre-orders that are on the way this year. If you want to see more from Logitech G at E3, like us and subscribe please. If you have any questions about Shadow of the Tomb Raider that you think Matt can answer, he'd like to do that for you as well.